you. Not another peep. Time to go to sleep.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick back here to do an upload. It's been a minute since I've done an upload, and I wanted to wait until the month of April to do this one because, obviously, as you know, unless you live under a rock, we're getting a new Evil Dead movie later this month called Evil Dead Rise. And I realized that I have never gone through the series movie by movie on my channel before, and I don't know why, because you guys know I'm a huge fan of this series. It honestly might be my second favorite horror series, and I mean that. Also, arguably the most consistent, but I've never done a deep dive into these movies, so I thought, why not start the month of April doing just that? So today, we are talking about the 1981 cult classic, The Evil Dead. Now, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff about this movie, and I implore you guys to check it out if you haven't already. There's a great documentary on the entire series. There is a lot of bonus material on some of these releases, and really just by Googling it. I mean, the Wikipedia section alone is just this like plethora of information that you're like, holy shit. There was a lot that went into this movie, but the short of it is that in the late 70s, friends that went to school together, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and Rob Tapert decided, hey, let's scrounge up a little money together, make a short film called Within the Woods, show this to people, and try to get some funding to make a low-budget horror movie. Now, Sam Raimi has famously talked about this. He never really wanted to be a horror director. He never felt like he was a straight-up horror director, but he felt like it was a good way to get his foot in the door. So obviously, he gets Bruce and Rob and, other friends of theirs. They get enough money together to make this short little indie movie. And The Evil Dead comes out in 1981. I mean, was it 1980, 1979? If you know the backstory behind the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it finally comes out in 1981. Did it make $2.7 million or $29 million? Still to this day, we have no idea. It's seriously wild. Just go ahead and look it all up. It's absolutely insane how all of this stuff happened and the fallout from a lot of it and just behind the scenes stories. It's great. Now, The Evil Dead wasn't exactly super well received by critics and people upon it coming out. Stephen King did say that it was terrifying, and they put that on the posters, and they put that obviously on like all of the home marketing and home video releases since then. Like that, when you got the stamp of approval from Stephen King, people went out to see it, a decent amount of people, and it made a good profit for this, the low budget that they had for it. So naturally, there was going to be more movies after that. Now, this is one of those series, though, that's really interesting because although every movie individually has been successful enough to warrant a sequel, God, they take a long-ass time to make continuations in this series, and I don't understand it. But we will get there with the later movies. But today, let's talk about The Evil Dead. So as I did with Scream and my Halloween Revisited, these aren't going to be straight-up reviews. I'm not going to go by the plot and give you every plot point and go piece by piece. No, I'm going to talk about why I love this movie, what I love about this movie, and then just give you a final thoughts about it. Obviously, the basic plot is very simple. Ash Williams and a group of his friends go to a cabin for a fun little getaway, find a book, a passage gets read out loud, and demons come. That's pretty much the plot of The Evil Dead. Like, do we need any more than that? I don't think so, personally, but that's the plot. So from the get-go, this movie does something really interesting because if this is your first time watching it, and I implore you to not lie to me, please, you'd be hard-pressed to say that Bruce Campbell is the lead in this movie. Everyone seems to get equal time. I mean, Cheryl honestly might be the lead when you think about it. The first time you're watching this, you're going, okay, Ash is more like a side character. But by the end of the movie, he fully embraces the role of final guy, and he becomes the lead. But that's something that's really interesting about this movie is how it starts and then how it finishes. Kind of subverting your expectations in a really, really cool way. And I gotta say, I really like the group here. I've seen people talk about this movie and say that, like, oh, it's low budget. The acting wasn't entirely there. They did, I don't agree with that. I think the acting overall in this movie is really strong, personally. And obviously, especially Bruce. I think Bruce is the best. But I think that they're all really good. I think that their camaraderie's good. So I can't really agree with that statement. I also love the cinematography in this movie. There's something to be said about Sam Raimi as a filmmaker. And although he himself would tell you that he was very young and this was just like really experimentation for him when this happened, especially when you see where he is now, it doesn't matter. Because the stylistic things that a director that knows how to work a camera does are on full display here. There are some great tracking shots throughout the woods where the camera is acting as the demon, and it's super awesome. There's some artificial light here and there, of course. I mean, it's harder to hide that kind of stuff when it is a low-budget movie. But I love the shadow play, and I love the depth that is in a lot of these shots. Even though you know it's a very contained set and cabin, really, and contained scene, sometimes it feels bigger than it is. And I think that part of using the woods as a character is a really big reason for that. So I've got to say, technically speaking, I think that this movie is super, super well done. And I just rewatched it last night because I really wanted it to be fresh on my mind. And I still stand by that statement. I really do think it's well done. I've got to give a shout out to the makeup effects. The makeup effects in this movie, for being low budget and for being 40 plus years old now, they hold up really well. I remember going into this movie again last night, and I probably hadn't seen this movie in 2-3 years. And I was thinking, okay, The Evil Dead, you know, I remember the makeup effects. I don't know. I know they got better as they went on, so I'm expecting these to be a little rough. And no, my memory was wrong. These are actually really, really good. There's this creepy clown imagery and makeup that is like so simplistic and easy to pull off, but it's so goddamn effective. There's the great stuff with Cheryl in the cellar. That stuff looks awesome. There's buckets of blood in this movie. I mean, there's a sequence where Ash is just getting his leg torn to shit, and it's good. It's really, really good. I mean, if you're gonna make a low budget horror movie like this, one of the things you really have to nail is the makeup effects, and The Evil Dead does that. Absolutely. But let's also talk about the setting. See, this was a real cabin, obviously. They filmed this, you know, over a span of a few weeks. It was freezing cold. You just feel it. You feel it. You see it on screen. These actors don't really have to act about, oh, I'm in the middle of the woods freezing my ass off in this, you know, podunk little cabin. No, that's actually what happened. And it comes across on screen. I think that the location that they picked was just freaking perfect. I absolutely love it. So the setting, the cinematography, the makeup effects, the acting. But I gotta tell you guys, this movie is genuinely surprising. Even as somebody that has seen a lot of horror movies at this point in my life, and ones that some would say push the boundaries and are more extreme, there's surprises in this movie that you're just like, they did this in 1981? Like, whew. The tree scene. We don't really need to say more than that, but that is really like, wow. I was actually texting my buddy Rudy when I was watching it and going, I did not remember how insane this scene is. And it is. There's some of the kills, some of the violence perpetrated. You're just kind of like, damn, they really went there in 1981. So for a lot of the credit that the Friday the 13th movies rightfully get in the 80s for some of their gore and effects, there were movies like that before them. They're lesser known, but they were there, and they were really, really good. So overall, with The Evil Dead, as a movie, taking everything into account, what it does well, what it needs work on, there are minor gripes I have. There really are, but it's nothing that I really want to say, yeah, this is just, no, this is unforgivable. No. With the limitations that it had, I think they do a really, really good job. So I honestly probably give this movie 4.5 out of 5. Like, I have to say, there's a few technical things I would have liked to see differently, and maybe a bigger budget would have fixed that, and probably would have. But 4.5, I memean, you're right there. You're right on the cusp. Now, before I get to the end of this video, I just want to say, watching the people that are watching this right now, a lot of time and effort is going to go into these revisited reviews for this series, and I'm really excited to do that. And I hope you guys watch. I've noticed that YouTube really bumps my channel up when I talk about Halloween, but when I talk about other stuff, not so much. And it's kind of a bummer because I'm passionate about a lot of other things, and I don't want YouTube to always put me in a box, but that's kind of what the algorithm does. So if you guys watch this video, please leave a like on it and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of the movie. It helps get this video out of the algorithm, and as a content creator, it's really important to me to do new things, do different things, talk about different movies, and I want to make sure you guys are watching that. So that is my plea to you. But you guys are going to find as we go on this Evil Dead franchise journey, I love this series. And there is not a movie in this series that I cannot genuinely say I love. And I'm telling you right now, it might surprise you guys. You heard what I just gave this movie. This is my least favorite Evil Dead movie. Like, I'm just being honest. So you hear my rating and you go, what the hell? That's right. Just wait for it. We're going to cover the rest of them. You're going to hear a lot of great things about all of these movies. But yeah, I mean, this is my least favorite, and I still freaking adore this movie. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to me on social media if you have not already. Become a patron today for as little as $1 a month, and you are going to get one bonus You Need a Horror Podcast episode every month, starting this month in the month of April. It is called Unita After Dark. It is not safe for work content. We will answer any question you guys have. We're going to talk about a lot of very personal things, and it's going to be only for patrons. So check me out on Patreon at the Lost River Drive-In. Subscribe, become a patron, and thank you guys so much for your support. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I am pulling out.